Superman number 29, written by Scott Lobdell, art by Ed Benes. So, last issue, there was something about like alien tech, and Superman was trying to interrogate this guy to figure out where it came from. And then Starfire showed up, about to burn the place down, and said, "Stand back, Superman, the fate of the world depends on it." So, we open up with Superman, and he's just staring out Starfire like, "All right, what's up? What are we doing here?" And this, immediately, page 2, we have like a horizontal fold out thing, like a pin-up sort of thing. I hate this so much in books. It makes it impossible to read. So Starfire basically says like, "Hey, look, you have no idea what's going on. Just leave this up to me. I'm going to deal with this, and I'm going to deal with it the same way I deal with all my enemies." And Superman's like, that sounds like killing. I'm kind of against that. So no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to let you kill." And Starfire's like, "Don't really care. And by the way, they're already dead, so whatever." And Starfire is about to blast Superman, and he decides to use his cold breath on her to immobilize her. And then he's just like, "All right, well, I've got long enough you being frozen that I can figure out what's going on here." And we see him talking about when he held the weapon, how it felt like it was almost alive. And he's just like, "All right, so something's happened there, but he doesn't have any meta powers. So like, why is it so important that Starfire kill this guy?" And then all of a sudden he shoots up, he's awake, and he starts like shape-shifting. And it's a Damonite. We're back to Damonites. I mean, it was already teased, I think 2 issues ago when we had Hellspawn show back up. But the Damonite's like, "Haha, Superman, we're here and we're going to finally take over. You had your chance, but you threw it away. And so here we are again." And then Starfire just incinerates him, just straight up, like he's gone. And she's just like, "Yeah, no, he was an alien. He was an evil alien, and clearly that's perfectly fine to kill evil aliens." So Superman says, "There's always another way. We don't have to kill, blah, blah, blah." And she's just like, "Dude, no, like they are hostile, taking over the world. We have to go ahead and do that." But the thing is, though, what's special about this time around is that those people that they took the bodies of, they were volunteers. Like, people are trying to cause the end of the world here. That's no bueno. And he's just like, "No, absolutely." So the police come in, they're trying to shoot at Starfire, and Superman just gets in the way, blocks the bullets as they keep talking, and then he turns to the police officers and is like, "Hey, I'm having a conversation. You know what? We'll leave. Bye." So they go out through the roof. We cut over to Cat Grant, who is stopped on the street by Morgan Edge, and he's like, "Hey, so you thought about my offer about buying your stupidly named website?" And she's like, "I talked to Clark. We're not going to sell. We're going to maintain some dignity." And he's just like, "That's a really bad move." And he drives away. So I'm sure that'll come back. So we go over to Starfire is inside of some cells somewhere where like all of these guys are Damonites. I guess it's the people who were arrested like also in that raid. And she's like, "I am not going to let my new home planet be taken over again." So she goes in and she starts trying to fry. And then Superman's like, "Look, I can stop this without killing." And he uses super breath again to just freeze everybody. And Starfire's like, "No wonder Kryptonians died out. You guys are stubborn as hell." And he's just like, "All right, well, that's racist, but whatever." So they take the guns and the frozen Damonites over to Star Labs in order to do some investigation to see like what is going on here. And Starfire does start to like warm up a little bit to Superman's thing, just being like, "Okay, look, it looks like we have this under control. I'm not opposed to doing things your way, but like it's a hell of a lot more complicated than my way." But either way, the Superman takes a look at the weapon and is just being like, "Oh, I can pick up a signal on it. You can come with if you promise not to kill anybody." She's like, "All right, I guess so." So they fly over to some fairground or something like that, and Superman gives like the lowdown. He's like, "Now I know all about you, Starfire, about your sister and how she sold you into slavery. And then she was also like an evil person. Just letting you know that I know that." And we see that there's a crate that has all of its weapons missing, but it's the exact, like the holes in it for the weapons is the exact same number that they recovered. So they're like, "Cool, awesome. We got all the weapons. We don't have to worry about that anymore." And then all of a sudden there's a little kid just running around and he's like, "Help, you gotta help me, Superman. I'm scared and alone." And he's just like, "Don't worry, Timmy." His name is literally Timothy. "Don't worry, little Timmy. I will come and save you." And Starfire's like, "Bro, You're in a abandoned warehouse. There's this little kid without a scratch on him, and you're just blindly believing that that little kid is actually a little kid. And as they start arguing, little Timmy transforms, and he's like, "Yeah, no, totally. I was totally a human, or I was totally a Damonite the whole time, posing as a human. Ha ha ha." So at that point, Superman's like, "All right, well now I just look like an idiot, so I'm gonna beat you up for it." But then he just like self-destructs. He just turns into goo and he just fades away. And it's like, all right, I gotta admit, I have no idea what's happening anymore, but there's something coming this way. That's the only thing I know, because that's what the guy was saying. Then we cut over to Lois Lane's story. She's with her boyfriend. The boyfriend's like, "Hey, man, Superman like was gonna sell you up the river to Parasite, and that's not cool." And Lois is like, "Don't worry about it." But she uses her special speak with her superpowers, and she says like, "Forget the whole thing." And then John just does. He just forgets the whole thing. So we go out into space, and there's a spaceship. It's Starfire's sister, Commander. She's there, and she's doing something evil, Blackfire, and she's just like, "Oh yeah, these demonites, it doesn't matter, like, but something went wrong with our plan down on Earth, so I have, in order to save my people, I'm having to make some my own sacrifices." And then she kneels before someone saying, "My lord, we have a problem." And wouldn't you know it, it's Hellspawn. And it basically saying like, "It's Superman and my sister, and they've teamed up." And Hellspawn's like, "Whatever. It's not going to matter." But if they're not afraid of the Damonites, but they are afraid of something else that's coming, what the hell is scarier than me? I'm Hellspawn. And that's the end of the issue. But the answer is literally everything. Absolutely, literally everything is scarier than you, Hellspawn. So, I've already said it back when Hellspawn was teased last time, is that it's stupid and I hate that, and why in the hell are we still doing that? But hey, we're here. We even got a little editor's box in this saying like, check out Superman Annual #1 or whatever. Like the point where Hellspawn killed all the Damonites, as if like, "Oh yeah, see, we're picking up on those threads." And I'm like, no, don't. I don't want those threads. Start new threads. Get Scott Lobdell off this book. No, so I'm just not happy with the direction of the story overall. And on top of that, it seems a little bit just like meandering. And I think we only have like 2 more issues before Scott Lobdell is actually off the book. So, like, what are we even going to be doing? You know? It just, I don't know. Overall, I say this is going to be 5.5. It's technically not a bad book, like it's not under a 5, but I find so little to get enjoyment out of this and so little that I care about that I can barely give it above that. So yeah.